Welcome to Shootin the Sport, where I sit down with your favorite coaches, athletes, and people in the industry to shoot the, you know. I'm Matison Little, and today's guest is Erin Regan, a former Division I soccer player, a current firefighter, and the most recent recipient of the Pat Tillman Award for service, honored at the ESPYS. Throughout this episode, we dive into Erin's journey, her passion for breaking barriers, and her mission to advocate for people chasing what they truly want, no matter the stigmas attached. This episode was both fun and deeply inspiring, and honestly just left me feeling like I can do anything. I hope you all enjoy it as much as I did. Hey, Erin Regan, welcome to Shootin the Sport. How are you?
Thanks, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I was telling you right before we started that I saw you get recognized at a Wake Forest football game last week, and you have such a cool story, so I wanted to have you on to be able to share it with the masses and with my community as well.
Right, yeah. It was a really cool event that they invited me to, and because I think I've been in the press recently, just from a lot of stuff, fire department and the ESPYS awards and stuff like that, and so coming back to Wake, I was kind of able to come full circle with that, since that's where it all started for me. So yeah, it was a super cool event. Glad that you saw me.
Before last week, when was the last time you were back in Winston-Salem?
Well, I come back every couple of years, sometimes a couple times in that year. I try to come back for homecoming, or women's soccer will have alumni games, or we'll have I actually was out at the NCAA's Final Four, because Wake obviously made it to the championship game, and so I was completely tricked out in a full shiny gold Deacon outfit.
I love it. Well, speaking of women's soccer, you were a goalkeeper at Wake Forest,
Right.
and just that was in the early 2000s. You were part of a team that made a national championship run. What was it like being able to come from California, where you're originally from, to North Carolina to play a sport that you grew up playing? I know the lifestyle is a little different between LA and Winston-Salem, so what was that like coming to a new town?
That's what I sought out. I was talking to a bunch of schools when I was being recruited, and that was what my whole high school life was about, was like, and club soccer in youth was like, okay, I want to go play soccer in college and get my degree. And so when Wake came after me, I loved going on my recruiting trip. The school is just like, it's a college out of the movies, like the red brick, all the history, and then not to mention I got to play against all the best teams in all the best women's soccer teams in all of the ACC, which was the best conference at the time. UNC was a dynasty, and I wanted to dethrone them. So for me, like, moving from California, it was a total adjustment. It's like, it's apples and oranges, from the West Coast, where I'm a beach kid, out to North Carolina, but I loved all the differences. Like, we have 4 seasons. It doesn't feel like summertime at Christmas, and I know that sounds weird to not like, but I loved that. I got to explore the whole East Coast, and to me, that was like a part of the magic of going to Wake, was that, besides all the good soccer stuff that I had. Yeah.
I'm from South Florida, so I can relate. This last fall and winter was my first year up here. I've only been up here for about a year, and I drove onto Wake's campus because I do a lot of work with their athletics department, and to see all the leaves falling, and just, it looked chilly out, and like that sounds so weird to me because I didn't know it could look chilly coming from South Florida, but it looked chilly, and I loved it. I was the weirdo collecting leaves and like keeping them in my car because I've never seen leaves change before, but it's fine.
Yep.
You mentioned youth soccer. When did you start playing soccer? How young were you?
I started playing AYSO, which is, just general rec league, when I was 5 years old. And I just have always been a very competitive human. And yeah, I just never stopped. My parents got us into it super young. And yeah, I just kept building on it. It was always a challenge for me, and I loved it.
Love it. And I heard your competitive nature. You said you wanted to dethrone UNC. So you were the goalkeeper that kind of got to take away any potential shots that they did have. Why did you choose to be a keeper rather than the one that, the people that usually get all the praise, scoring goals and things like that in a different position?
I have always liked being counted on. It's like this weird, like I like being the protector. I like the low odds. I like being the underdog. And I feel like a goalkeeper, you you don't get the accolades. You don't get to change the game in a way that everybody recognizes as changing a game. If you score 2 goals, you have changed the game.
Right.
And I like to do that soldier work, like just do the job and get no praise and but I know it. And so it's like kind of a personal challenge for me. And I'm always attracted to those types of positions in life and, in sports.
Where do you think that stems from?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm always I'm always trying to improve myself in all ways.
Right.
Like physically, mentally, I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to be a good parent. And I think that I found an outlet for that urge, to kind of do the work in the dark, to do the stuff that nobody sees. And
Right.
I just find a lot of pleasure and like glory in that. Like I'm the only one who needs to know. It's kind of a challenge to myself, and so I think that's the attraction of those types of things.
Well, I think that's admirable. I feel like a lot of people want to do something good and they be praised for it. So that's awesome that you have that characteristic about you. Um, you also were, like I said earlier, part of a team that made a run to the national championship. What was that season like, being part of, history at Wake Forest?
Well, for as far as my personal career, the furthest we made it when in my years that I played, which was 98 to '02,
Mm-hmm.
was the Sweet 16,
Okay.
and I believe that was my role to get this most recent team, whatever it is, 23 years later or something, to that national championship game. I
Okay.
believe that was partly me. And that is such an insane thing to be a part of, that is like, it's something that occurs over time, but you can't write it down on a piece of paper. You can't say, oh, Riggs, when she played goalie in 1998, was building this national championship team in 2024. You can't,
Right.
no one can say that, but I know it. And so that going and watching those girls play, and like, seriously, I'm getting like misty eyed because it was like the culmination of my time at Wake. I got to build that. I was like one of the first bricks. Man, that's my favorite thing.
That's awesome. And I think that goes back to what you said is just doing the work, even if you don't necessarily get the praise, because college athletics are such a cumulation. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
Yeah,
what is it?
accumulation. Yeah.
Accumulation, there we
Mhm.
go, of the teams before them. Like you see these national championship programs in any sport, and they didn't start that way. They had to build it. So I think, yeah, you deserve to get the praise just as much as the girls that were on the field, because it's not, that program's not the program it is without the people that came before the current team.
Right. And I mean, we had like, for a really small school and a small soccer program, that became a team that went to the finals, the championship game. We had, I think it was like 98 alumni from the women's soccer program at that game, and that was just like it. I mean, for our coach Tony DeLuz, who has been there for 29 years, and just for all of us, it was like it is a movement that is literally like 29 years in the making, which is just like
That's awesome.
not people don't get to be a part of that, and people don't get to see that in programs.
Right. Well, I went to UCF, so quite the opposite of Wake Forest, one of the biggest universities in the country. And when I moved up here and I worked my first game at Wake Forest, it didn't dawn on me until I saw the student section that it is such a small school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's almost what makes it so special. And it's telling that you had 98 alum at that game because it's such a tight-knit community, and that's awesome. You don't get that at these big universities.
Right. And that is part of like kind of the folklore of Wake is it is tiny. I mean, I think it's like 4,000 undergrad. When I tell people that, they're like, "What? How do you sustain athletic programs? How do you know what I mean?" And it was just such a
Right.
little niche like underdog spot, and that is like part of the charm and the beauty of that school that I really dug and I love to this day.
Love it. You graduated in 2002. Am I right when I say you played a little bit professionally?
Yes, yeah. I played a year professionally in the last year of WUSA,
Okay.
and which was the first iteration of a women's pro league,
Right.
and it was the last year before it folded due to financial concerns. It was unsustainable as like a business at that point.
Mhm.
And so I played with some of the greats. I played with Mia Hamm, Abby Wambach, Siri Molinix was the goalkeeper, was our starting goalkeeper.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I learned a lot. We won the whole thing. Like it was just like such a crazy experience. And then it was like, okay, well, women's soccer is not going to have a pro league, so get to real life, like get a
Right.
job. Yeah. So
How did you decide? Because obviously, like you said, the league folded, there weren't many options for women's soccer, but how did you decide, okay, this is the time that I'm going to hang them up?
I mean, the league folding was kind of like the catalyst for that, of course,
Right.
because it's just kind of like, okay, if I'm doing this for very little money, like unable to live on money, right? It was for fulfilling this dream. And when it folded, it was just like, I don't think this is sustainable for me as an adult. So I kind of was like, maybe I should just move on to the next thing and find another way to participate using the skills I learned at Wake, using this awesome experience that I had with Washington Freedom, and it was kind of a no-brainer. I just didn't have any other options.
Right. Right. That makes sense. And I know you've talked a lot about how being part of a team translates to what you're doing now in being a firefighter. That why how did you determine that that is what you wanted to do? I know you talk about the team aspect like I said, but there's other ways to be part of a team. Why was it firefighting?
I started with a desk job. I was doing workers' comp insurance. And I swear from the first day I sat down in that cubicle, I was like, it's got to be something else. I'm me. I got to move on. Not to degrade the type of work that people do and are successful at, but it just wasn't for me.
Right.
Um, and so immediately when I was at that job, it was great because literally and figuratively it lit a fire under me. And I was like taking police tests, sheriff's tests, like the physical and written tests, the interviews. I was taking fire tests. And so finding out what I didn't want to do was actually super useful for me to find out what I did want to do. And I knew I wanted to use my body for good because I have an ability to push myself and a desire to do that. And I want to be outside. And so it was kind of a natural progression, but it all started with the best, worst job I ever had.
What did you want to be as a kid growing up?
Um, well, I've always been into art. My dad was a graphic artist, and so I was always good at art. I kind of like took to it very naturally, like I kind of understood it a little bit. Um, and so I would say probably that. I think when I was little, you don't realize that you're a girl and there is no pro soccer league. So
Right.
I wanted to do that, right? And but never did I think about firefighting. I had a bunch of family that was in law enforcement, so I thought, oh, maybe I'll be a police officer like my grandma and grandpa were, and like my aunt and uncle were, stuff like that. But I didn't really have anything that was calling me. I wasn't like, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be an astronaut. None of that really occurred. It was kind of like accumulation of like all my experiences in life that led me to that.
You just wanted to be Erin. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an outlier, you know?
I love it. What are some of the parallels you see between soccer and being a firefighter?
I mean, the team aspect, it's like no one fights fires alone. Just like you don't win a soccer game alone. Even if you are on what's quote unquote an individual sport like golf or something, you have a caddy, you have someone instructing you, you have someone taping your ankle or telling you how to turn your wrist. That's how that is just across all categories of life, actually. So firefighting, especially because there's a team aspect, everyone's supposed to play their role. Everyone needs to be training, practicing, learning, and on repeat. And so there's a lot of correlations, a lot of parallels, and then also with athletics, especially when you get to the higher levels in college or pro, there's a lot of pressure, and I feel like being an athlete, especially being a goalkeeper, where it's a reactive position. I see what comes at me and I try to adapt to that. And I think firefighting is a lot like that. You see, okay, what's on fire? Or what is this medical call? Is someone having a heart attack? Okay, what's my protocol? What do I do? Same thing as the shot's coming at me or a cross is coming across. How do I position myself? What's my split-second decision going to be? All that totally translates, speaking the same language as firefighting.
That's awesome. I don't have good reactivity time, so not for me, but I applaud you for being able to do that. And aside from all of the physically like amazing thing you've done in terms of fighting fires and saving lives and all of that, you've also taken on a leadership and mentorship role.
Right. Yeah. Girls Fire Camp and Women's Fire Prep Academy.
Okay. So can you kind of explain what those are and why you decided that was an important space to insert yourself in?
Yeah, I was sitting around with a couple of my female firefighter friends who we all kind of lived near each other. And we were like, why aren't we helping women to at least be exposed to this as a job, or girls? Because there's nothing out there to... If what Billie Jean King says, you can't be it if you can't see it, right? I would say myself, I don't know if a woman can be president. I haven't seen that yet, right?
Right.
So we wanted to kind of flip the script on that as far as firefighting goes. And there was kind of this unspoken decision by all these women that we didn't really talk to each other. We didn't really interact. If there was another female firefighter, like at a drill, and the rest were all guys, we would just be like, oh yeah, we don't talk. Like, don't worry, I'm one of the boys, right? And as you get older and more confident in what you're doing, you're like, it's kind of messed up. Like, and so a couple of us got together and we're like, let's just do this thing. We wanted to train up women to join our career because we're like, you can do it, right? And then we wanted little girls to see it because they don't see it in their books at school. They don't see for career day, they don't see females going into the classroom who are firefighters, right? So we just wanted to get it out there that as a possibility, and it changed LA County Fire Department, and there's been a lot of across the United States, people are doing it now, and that's just so awesome to see. It's necessary.
So what does that look like? How do you do that in terms of putting eyes on female firefighters for these young girls or for these women? What does that look like tangibly?
So what we came up with was, at least with LA County Fire Department, we did a one day girls fire camp. And so this is like from, I think we had like all the way from like 8 years old all the way up to 18,
Okay.
which is the hiring age for LA County. So this is pre being able to be hired, right? Um, and so we had them just come down to our headquarters, where we have a big training drill tower, and we showed them stuff. We showed them how to use a hammer. We showed them ladders. We showed them what we do, what we look like. Part of that is being able to see yourself, whether you're short or tall. Like, I'm 6 foot tall. I'm a big person, broad shoulders, right? But we have girls that are 5'5" and look different than me,
Right.
that can do the same job that I do. And so we just expose them to that and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? And then, like, yay, it's fun. And we eat lunch and they ask questions and they go home. And so it's all good vibes. It's totally safe environment. And part of it is for them to go, oh, I think I like this kind of stuff, or nah, not for me. Like,
Right.
I think all that information is useful, right? Moving
Yeah.
forward in your life. So,
I think that you could draw a parallel there to it's obviously growing, but women's sports and women's athletics in general have always kind of needed a little more advocation and like people to step up and do that same thing. Like we've seen this past season with the WNBA, like pay us what we're owed. And we saw the revolution with women's soccer where they spoke out and said they deserve to be paid more and they're advocating and bringing eyes to this. How do you feel like your time as a female athlete and with your professional experience where you saw things fold, how did that kind of maybe ignite this drive subconsciously even?
I mean, throughout my whole life, everything that I've chosen to do, I've kind of like seen it. I don't care who's doing it, if it's guys or girls or
Right.
huge people or short people. I'm like, I could do that. Or that seems cool. Like, I want to learn how to do that. And so taking that risk and just being like, that's something that interests me, I think is the first step. And
Mhm.
I feel like with the advent of phones and computers and online stuff and the beauty myth and all this stuff that especially young girls are being bombarded with, like, I want to get them back to that curiosity about going their own way and not following whatever the influencer is saying and just
Right.
caring about clothes or whatever. You can care about that, but like, try other cool stuff, right?
Right. And you received the Pat Tillman Award for Service for your work with Girls Fire Camp and your other outreach things that you've done. How did that come to be? How was your name put in front of this group of people and they decided this is who deserves this award this year?
As far as I know, because I wasn't in the initial
Right.
talks or anything, the ESPYS, because of the LA fires, were interested in finding some firefighters who were at the LA fires, the Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, and who also had a connection to high-level sports. And so when the ESPYS producers talked to LA County Fire Department and LA City Fire Department, they asked for suggestions. And, there's a fair amount of high-level athletes that I think are in both departments. And so I think they just got a short list of names of people who might fit the bill. And I was on the short list.
How did you find out that you were going to receive this award?
The producers of the ESPYS had like a call with me and they said, hey, you're in consideration for this award. And so they basically said, hey, we want to, get some information on you. So I gave them all my information. They do a background check and just make sure that everything's on the up and up about what you've done. They get kind of the background of your career and then the background of your sports career. And then they were like, hey, we want to talk to you on a Zoom call. And I was talking with the producers, and they're like, we want to honor you with this award. And it was a trip. It was totally surreal.
What was your reaction? How did you feel in that moment?
To be honest, I told them this. I said I feel like I have imposter syndrome, because it's like, because I understand that like the Palisades fire had like 3,500 firefighters on it, like from all these different departments, and I'm like, why me? And then you start to realize that like that I make a good representative, and I do have this connection to sports that's super strong, and but that was my initial reaction, was like, I don't know if I should be doing this, right? And then I took it on, and like I do most things, as a challenge, and like I thought that I could deliver the message that it wasn't about me, that it was about the team.
When you are at the ESPYS, what was that experience like? I'm putting it out to the world that I will be at the ESPYS one year, but I haven't done it yet. So what's that like?
Oh man, it was magnificent. The staff was with me every step of the way, but it was also a surreal experience. I mean, I'm just with the best athletes in the world. I mean, Billie Jean King was there, Alona Mar from the USA rugby team, the USA volleyball team was there, the U.S. soccer women's national team was there. So just all of these people that are so influential in my life and my career, and I've been watching and kind of having these parallel paths go. That was just amazing to be in the room. Obviously, my parents, who have given me so much and supported me. My mom was my PR agent to get into college, go to Wake, and they've always supported everything, including like me being a firefighter and all that. And so being able to have them there and like see this, I think was like, it's one of the things that you want your parent, like, kind of, you can't ever repay your parents, and I feel like I might be doing a pretty decent job of that with the whole SU thing. So thanks, SUs.
I'm sure they're super proud of you. And yeah, that's awesome. Did you get to meet anybody one-on-one that you've looked up to in this space?
Yeah, like the people I was talking about. Alona Mar is super awesome. I think she's such a rad like example for women of like having muscles and using your body to like do cool stuff and not really caring what other people are saying. So that was super cool. She's so humble and awesome, and I believe in her message wholeheartedly. Yeah, and everyone there is an elite athlete. I mean, they were so elite that they're getting awards for being the most elite of the elite, and so just breathing that same air was magnificent. It was an experience of a lifetime, and I'll never forget it. And then all my buddies from Wake Forest, even some people that I played with at Washington Freedom and family members and everything were reaching out to me about this thing that they get to participate in with me. My coach at Wake Forest, Tony DeLuz, he got to see me up there and see me in my Wake uniform, and that's just like it gives that full circle feeling to all these people who have inspired me and helped me along the way. I couldn't have done it without any of them since I was 5 years old. So that full circle moment was just beyond words.
That just gave me the chills. That's awesome. So now looking forward, what is the future of Girls Fire Camp? What do you have going on in the future? What does that all look like?
We are continuing with Girls Fire Camp. It's been super successful. Parents and women and girls have all expressed that they love the program. They're free programs. There's nothing that we're getting out of it except passing along the message that you can do whatever you want with your life. So those are continuing. Our next Girls Fire Camp with Los Angeles County Fire Department is on October 4th, and I will be there. not as anyone special or important, but just I want to teach girls to put a ladder up because it's fun for me. It's my favorite thing I do with the county. So that stuff is all continuing.
Well, I was going to ask you what message you hope that young girls take away from your story, but I feel like you just said it. But is there anything you'd like to add on that? Any advice you have for young girls that want to get into a space that is, stereotypically not a female space in history?
Do what you're interested in, with no limitations. If you want to get a tattoo, get a tattoo. I have many. Go into that room and do what you want to do, because you're the only person that's going to advocate for yourself. And that is well proven through time. So if you listen to people telling you not to do stuff, it's usually not about you, it's about them. So I would just say, do what you're interested in, and just own it.
I love it. Well, I loved having you on today. Thank you so much for doing this. And I'm rooting for you, and I'll be following along your next steps.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.